From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, welcome into another edition of The Horse's Mouth here on Buzz TV. Out on location, out on the USS Orleck here in downtown Jacksonville. Brought to you by our good friends at Firewatch. My good friend Sam Kouvaris is here stopping by to say hello. It's been a little while. We'll welcome him back to the show. Sammy, how are you?
It's January. We're wearing sunglasses.
I know. How about it? And we're sweating.
And we're sweating. I mean, not a lot of people doing this around the country.
No, you're right about not on a battleship that over 11,000 missions.
Actually, a destroyer.
Sorry, thanks for the correction. Right. Well, they battle.
11,000 missions.
Don't destroy.
They do battle. That is true.
I mean, it's kind of like an umbrella statement, Sam.
Probably the Orleck was probably the premier ship in Vietnam.
Yeah,
fired more rounds than any other ship.
Wow.
Got a couple nicknames.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a neat story. Built during World War II.
Yeah, 1944. I heard
45, right?
45.
And then
44, 45.
And then some post-war stuff. Served in Korea, served in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And then was sold to Turkey.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then they gave it back. It's been a museum over in Texas, and now we're going to dress it up.
Well, what do you think about it being here in downtown Jacksonville?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live here for any amount of time, you realize that we have a military presence in town that's very important to who our culture is.
Definitely.
And I think that it's important that we honor that with something like this.
Yeah. It took a long time for them to get down.
You know, they've been trying for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And you got to find the right ship. You got to find the right situation.
Yep.
I mean, they towed this over there. You got to have the money to do it.
Yep.
And hopefully it's funded properly and people are able to get to it easily in order to see that, because in a Navy town, there's going to be a lot of Navy guys who are going to bring their families and say, yeah, here's kind of a similar situation where I slept. And, you know, as Ronald Reagan once said, have you ever heard an 8-inch gun go off?
No. Yeah.
You don't
want to.
You don't want to be near it.
Yeah, no doubt.
He was talking about a battleship at the time.
Speaking of ships, battleships, destroyers, or whatever, ships,
right?
The ship's been turned around for our Jaguars, man.
That's
How
true.
About that, Sammy?
All thanks to Doug Peterson.
I agree.
And you know,
totally agree.
Shad tried to hire Doug last year.
Yep.
And Doug told him he couldn't. Needed some time to reconnect with his family. His brother was very sick and regrettably eventually died. His son got married. And then the next time around, when Shad realized the mistake that he made with that buffoon who was here, you got to give Shad credit in that he made a course correction immediately, like these guys would do.
No doubt.
Make a course correction.
Right, absolutely.
Right? Don't kind of fiddle. Go get on course.
Right, absolutely.
And he did that, and he offered Doug the job, and it took him a while to go through the protocols of the NFL to look at a lot of people. But, you know, they erect a statue in front of a stadium for you.
Yeah.
Probably got some credentials.
You know, I've always thought with Doug's resume that the 2 playoff years after the Super Bowl win are really impressive, because you know how hard it is to keep it together.
I mean, look what you guys did in the late 90s.
Right.
You know, consistently went to the playoffs, went to 2 AFC championship games. And a lot of that was Tom Coughlin and how he built the team. You know, Peterson, in concert with Trent Baalke, really is starting to build a team. The important thing, and everybody says this, I think, is to keep the core guys together this year. The guys who are free agents, you've got to continue to have those guys on your team, because Dave Caldwell, good guy, and I thought he was a pretty good personnel evaluator. His problem was he always got rid of guys a year early.
Yeah.
Mercedes Lewis, they let walk as a free agent. They didn't keep Puslesny in the organization as something all in the same year. And I mean, and the team went like that.
Right.
Because you have to have locker room presence.
I would have kept Calais too. I'd throw him in the mix.
I mean, that's what I was going to get to. I mean, how the guy was NFL, you know, Walter Payton Man of the Year. How do you trade him?
Right.
I don't care what you got to pay him to keep him. Unless they thought they were doing him a favor to send him to a contender and they knew they were going to be bad. But you got to keep a guy like Calais Campbell. I begged Calais Campbell to live in Jacksonville after he retired.
Yeah,
because he's that kind of guy.
Oh, and he's beloved here too.
And they just blew it in that situation. And,
agreed.
I mean, I think back to the mid '90s.
Yeah.
When you and Brandt and Kopp, the 3 of you, were sometimes starters, full-time special teams players. But the 3 of you were important cogs in the success of that team as guys who were almost policemen in the locker room. You don't let guys get away with anything.
Right. No, right.
and you brought a veteran presence. And the league changed during your career to get rid of guys like that and bring in young guys to save, $300,000 a year.
Yeah, right. On each deal, yeah.
Which doesn't bode well for the locker room. You look at the teams that are consistently successful. They've got a core group of players. Some of them are special teamers.
Oh, totally. The glue.
And they're still making money. I mean, sometimes you got to, they paid Joe Zelenka $1 million a year to be a long snapper.
Well, they need a good long snapper.
Because they needed a long snapper, and he was also a solid presence in the locker room for the Falcons up there for a while after he left here.
Absolutely. All right, tell people what you're up to now. I know you're nothing at all. Writing, you write, don't you?
No, I write for my website, samsportsline.com. But, as an agent said to me, nobody wants to hear what a guy like you has to say.
I disagree. You need to write a book.
Well,
take us through the whole thing.
If I was anything but what I am, I'd still be working. But that's what all the lawyers tell me.
Well, we're going to do more. We're going to have you back on the show.
I'm the quintessential unprotected class, apparently, in today's world.
Well, what's great about that? You can say whatever the heck you want.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
I would say a different word than heck if I could, but I'm not going to. But great to have you, Sammy.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, my man.
This Jaguar team is you got a chance because they have the quarterback and the coach in place. And the coach is important for this quarterback because he played in the league.
Yeah.
He coached in the league. He was a quarterback's coach. He was an offensive coordinator.
He was a grunt, too. Backup quarterbacks are very important to the NFL.
And you know what?
To a team.
What I noticed, particularly this year, because last year is a lost year. This year's Trevor's rookie year. Just look at it that way.
Whatever.
He got used to being in the league and what it takes to be in the league. But this year, he played all 17 games, 19, 20 games this year.
Yep.
But he never made the same mistake twice. That fumble he made at the end of the Dallas game.
Yeah, I mean, the Houston pick and then the Denver pick was kind of a similar throw.
But he never made the same. Next time he ran, every time after that he ran the ball, he's holding on with two hands and all that. He's a smart guy who's not going to make the same mistake twice.
I agree. Listen, he turned it around. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, we're going to talk more about him. How about that? Good to see you, pal.
All right.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Thanks,
all right,
Tom.
Sammy Kouvaris, the one, the only. He's my good friend, man. We've been friends a long time.
Forever.
There's no doubt about it. Well, that'll do it for us this time around. See more of these conversations at iwannabuzz.com. Until next time, stay safe and be cool out there. We'll see you right here on the Horse's Mouth. Cheers.